Meeting call to order. Please rise for salute the flag.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilmember Boyd,
Here.
Councilmember Moore, here. Councilmember Hunter,
Here.
Supervisor Trombley,
Here. And Mark, and absent, yes, she'll probably be here. Okay. We have the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. We'll do March 8th first, please. Make a motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the March 8th minutes.
Second?
I'll second that.
Are there any corrections, deletions, or additions that need to be added to the minutes? Okay, I'm gonna say, Julie, nice job on both of these. There's a lot of minutes. A lot of work that went into this, thank you. Okay, if so, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. March 2nd minutes, a special meeting. Entertain a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 22nd minutes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Jason. Any corrections, deletions, or additions required for March 22nd minutes? Oh, good, okay. If so, all in favor of approving?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries. This time, welcome everybody. And any general presentations or questions from the public at this point? Separate from the public hearing that's going to be coming up. If you want to have an insight? Okay, thank you. So, we got a few minutes, so I'm going to go ahead to my report, and we'll move ahead until we come back to the public hearing. So good evening, everybody. Someone in Billy Jones isn't here yet, but County Legislator Calvin Castanis, thank you for being here tonight. I want to say congratulations to the Village of Rouse's Point Mayor John Labonte and trustees Brian Pelkey and Ben Arno, on their election to office. And also congratulations to Village of Champlain trustees Charles Connor and Joe Herzog on their election to office as well. We have received stage 1 of our Complete Streets grant funding, which will be used to enhance our rec trail. The traffic delineators and bike rack are in, and a bench is due on May 19th. Although I stand corrected, it came in early today. The traffic delineators will be installed on Prospect Road along the trail sometime after the Highway Department sweeps the sand. Additionally, the Rouse's Point Champlain Kiwanis Club will be donating and planting a tree on Arbor Day. This will be in the Bob M. Park, and we need to get together and choose a location. So we'll have to do that soon. Update in our marketing initiative. We had a successful turnout to our first community-attended brainstorming session on March 26th. Councilpersons Bory and Rochester will report the details in regard to our progress with that agenda. I recently attended the Clinton County Shared Services meeting. All shared services that we can develop is important in saving money or efforts between municipalities. However, if we plan correctly, there is a 50% matching funds through New York State for the shared services. In other words, if there's a $50,000 savings by joining forces for something, for buying a piece of equipment, they will match 25% of that. However, the criteria is it must start in January to qualify for the match, so you have to plan ahead and begin. If it's something that needs to be done right away, well, We just won't get the match. It doesn't mean we don't go forward with it. We've been working on the evaluation to determine if we can merge our various sewer districts. From everything I've gathered, it looks possible, but I have forwarded the information to our attorney for review and guidance. And waiting to hear from Matt. The next leadership meeting with the villages and the town is scheduled for April 19th. Looking forward to having our first meeting with the new mayor. And the town of Champlain has scheduled a Prospect Road cleanup on April 30th, 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., to pick up the vast amount of litter along this corridor from the village of Champlain to the village of Rouse's Point. No, our concentration will be the village to Route 76 on this day, and will continue further depending on the attendance and time. So I hope that we can get a decent number of volunteers. We are working or investigating with DOT to see if we can get some safety equipment and supplies to give out to the volunteers, but if not, if you could bring your own, if you have a bright colored safety shirt or vest or something to wear to make sure we're visible on the road. But I don't know if you've noticed that the corridor is really littered. It's bad, so we need to pick that up.
What day is that again?
April 30th, which happens to be Arbor Day. It's a Saturday from 10 to 12 noon. And then I want to add, the town of Champlain has litter along many of our town roads. In addition to this group effort we are organizing, we ask all of our residents to please help by picking up the litter on your road near your property. And we thank you in advance for helping to keep our town beautiful and attractive to visitors. And additionally, we still have COVID test kits, surgical masks, and KN95 masks available. I also have this posted on our webpage.
And who should people contact for more information on the cleanup day?
They contact this office.
Contact the
Yeah,
town?
contact the town. The village will also be having their cleanup at the same time and date, so it'll be a nice effort. So, I definitely plan on being there.
And it is posted on the Facebook page.
Correct, thank you, yes, and when you see it, you'll share it, and we'll see if we can get a nice group of people. Okay, we can keep moving on, we're not 6:45 yet, are we? Got 5 more minutes. Ryan, would you like to start with the report, and then by then there'll probably be time to go into the public hearing.
Well, a meeting ago, I got permission to apply for a grant for the Bob Van Ball Field, and I submitted it, and they said they would be letting us know the week of May 9th. So, it's nationwide, I think there's like 5 grants, so it's slim, but it didn't cost anything to enter, and they were encouraging.
Mhm. Who was this through again? I forgot what you were talking about.
Scott's Grass, they
Okay.
call it Scott's Field refurbishment program. They do it every year. But they, redo the ball field, so that would be nice. It's the first week of May, basically, that they would let us know. Something.
Mhm.
And I don't know if we mentioned it, the youth commission programs for the town and the villages are out. And for more information, they can contact the town or the villages. We have the information here posted, but it is kind of time for summer youth programs.
Yep, it is. The weather's getting warmer.
It is, but the sooner people try and sign their kids up or see what activities they'd be interested in, the better it is, because some of the programs have limited attendance. You get a dozen or so and that's it. There's some interesting programs.
And I believe that those program offerings are available through each of the school buildings in the Northeastern Clinton Central School District, as far as I know.
Yeah, they have it,
They have the information there as well, so
They-
It's on
parents,
their website.
that's correct, so parents are looking for more information, they can also check in with their kid's school.
yeah, they have the Northeastern website, Town of Champlain website, Village of Champlain website, and Village of Rouse's Point website, so. That's what- And, that's about it. Can't think of anything else, but if I do, which.
Okay, well, thank you. And thanks for that, Grant. And I might mention real quick, the one that I applied for, the Dart at the Wall, and it didn't get, so I sent you an email on that, but I should have had that in my report as well. We did not achieve that. So, we didn't quite fit the criteria. Welcome there.
Well, I can read the notice
Okay,
that we put in the paper.
okay, sounds good.
Public hearing notice. Please take further notice that a public hearing will be held at the regular meeting of the town board of the town of Champlain on Tuesday, April 12, 2022 at 6:45 PM at the town office building, 729 Route 9, Champlain, New York, as follows. Local law number 1 of 2022. A local law imposing a temporary townwide moratorium on the installation of freestanding or ground-mounted solar energy systems. All persons interested will be given an opportunity to speak or to offer written opinions either for or against the proposed local law. Copies of said proposed local law are available for review at the town clerk's office. The meeting is open to the public. Other business will be taken up at the meeting by order of the town board of the town of Champlain.
Thank you, Joan. So, so I'd like a motion, please, to leave the regular business meeting and open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion, we recess the regular board meeting and open up the public hearing on local law.
I'll second.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So I'll just read the preamble to the local law number 1. A local law entitled Local Law Number 1 of the year 2022, imposing a temporary townwide moratorium on the installation of freestanding or ground-mounted solar energy systems. Be it enacted by the town board of the town of Champlain as follows. The purpose of this local law is to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the town of Champlain and to maintain the status quo as to certain solar energy uses. As the present zoning regulations in the town do not adequately address this type of use, the moratorium will stop the processing of applications for and the issuance of any permits, certificates of occupancy, and approvals for certain land uses relating to solar energy, including but not limited to solar farms. The moratorium is for a period of 12 months, allowing the town board to analyze and determine potential appropriate revisions and amendments to the town of Champlain zoning code concerning this in use. Okay, so at this time, I'd like to ask anybody if they'd like to comment. I ask you please to limit your comments to 3 minutes if you could. I'd be appreciated. And please, when you address the board, give us your name and address for the representative. Yes, sir.
Supervisor Trombley, members of the board, appreciate the opportunity to share with you tonight. I'm Chris Stroud. I'm Chief Operating Officer from Cipriani Energy, and I would like to read into the public record the letter that we sent to the town earlier this week briefly. The Cipriani Energy Group provides as public comment to the town board with respect to local law number 1 of 2022, the proposed moratorium on solar projects. We appreciate and support the town's commitment to renewable energy, demonstrated by the town's community solar on its website. We acknowledge the importance of proper siting of facilities. Upstate New Yorkers have a long history of suffering the negative impacts of coal-fired power plant emissions. As a company, we are committed to the creation of emission-free electricity via distributed solar energy resources. By having this generation distributed rather than centralized, the need for large electrical transmission towers and corridors can be reduced, and local government can have more of a say in the siting and screening of these projects versus large projects that all but bypass local government. Additionally, community solar programs are an opportunity for local utility customers to save money on their utility bill with zero investment on solar equipment. With the number of solar projects gradually increasing over time on their sites as our state pursues and achieves for renewable energy goals, we recognize that changes of land use are seldom universally popular. We also recognize that the town needs to listen to the needs of the local community and ensure that the path forward balances the interests of multiple stakeholders. Suburban neighborhoods and agricultural land should not lose their inherent character. The evaluation of view sheds, setbacks, screening, and the implementation of a standardized approach to solar projects is a good way to balance those needs. NYSERDA has published a template for the solar law that the town might consider during the moratorium period. Another part of balancing the needs of the town's citizens is recognizing that there are areas within the town where the decision has already been made via zoning to promote economic development in industrial areas. Clearly stated, this is where the town wants industrial activity. When compared to other industrial uses, we feel that solar power generation is as light and low impact as it gets. Solar use creates no noise, near zero traffic, no wastewater, no smokestack emissions, is easily screened, is less than 15 feet in height, and the land returned back to its original state in 25 to 35 years, guaranteed by a bond. Thus, to potentially restrict the economic development of the town by imposing a moratorium on industrial land for a very light use, where more intensive uses of the land are already permitted, would seem like an unintended negative consequence of pursuing the town's effort to establish appropriate solar standards for residential and agricultural zoning districts. Accordingly, we submit to the town for its consideration a simple one-sentence addition to Section 3 of Local Law Number 1 of 2022 that reads as follows. This moratorium will not apply to any project located in an industrial zone, currently HI, IC 1 through 8, LI. We feel that this minor modification to the proposed law of number 1 of 2022 will allow the town to achieve its true intent of the moratorium without any negative unintended consequences with regard to much needed North Country growth and development in zones where it is already intended to be. The presence of these projects within industrial zones will present a positive image of the town as a town that is planning for future generations, which can be powerful in attracting future residents looking for a place to live, work, and retire. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stroud. Would anybody else like to speak? Okay. Then we're going to, no one else has anything to say, we're going to close the public hearing. And Mr. Stroud, we have your letter, and we will take this into consideration both when we vote, and of course, also when we work on our zoning revisions.
Appreciate it.
So I need a motion to close the public hearing and re-enter back into the regular board session.
I make a motion to close the public hearing and come back into regular session.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Something else came up. So, now I would like to present a resolution to John LeBonnie, do you have anything bad? Should we wait?
Can we wait until about 7?
Okay. Do we want to go into a brief recess? We can go forward with more.
That's what I would-
Board meeting
Yes, please.
and try to give it to 7. and then
Yeah.
down
I kind of told a few people 7. I thought it was going to be a little bit
Longer.
later.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not a problem. So let's go into the reports from the council members. Rick, would you like to go next, please?
Sure. Just some notes of interest, upcoming dates. The Rouse's Point Fire Department, weather permitting, will be holding their car wash on April 16th between 9 and 3. Also, they will be holding their annual breakfast on May 22nd. So just put that in your calendars. Also, just a reminder for New York State Department of Environmental Conservation that of course there is a residential burning ban from March 16th through May 14th. Stars and Stripes, coming up, will hold their second annual Easter egg hunt at Angelo's Pizza and Grill. That is free admission, and that again is April 16th between 9:30 and 10:30. That's all in terms of upcoming dates. In terms of local news regarding Champlain Fire Department, they have started their work with the architectural firm out of Vermont, and they are starting to begin the design phase of their project. They're hoping to break ground in the spring of 2023, and right now they're in the budgetary process trying to create a budget so that they can identify exactly how much this project's going to cost. So that's all I have to report in regards of the fire department and upcoming dates. In terms of EDUs, I gave all of the town board members a copy of the most current EDU appeals, and there are 3 appeals that I think need to kind of look at and address, and part of that will entail looking at the Champlain Town Code 12451, the schedule of charges, and looking specifically inside the table of the EDUs to address some properties where there is self-storage with water and self-storage without water. And then also I want to start to create some discussions on solar farms and how we can maybe also take a look at bringing that into the picture also.
So which 3 of these are you?
They are shaded
Okay.
for you, and you can see exactly which of those properties they are. Over in the,
So you have a rear of the page too.
yeah, I do. And you'll notice that the last column actually contains some notes,
Mhm.
specifics to each of these properties. And as you can see, this commercial property, 20.1-17.22, is one that has changed their description, commercial description. They are now a storage unit, and it is commercial storage, but there are 0 receptacles. There is no receptacles at all, no water service at all. And so we wanted to table that till tonight's board meeting just to kind of identify with that, because there's nothing inside of our EDU process right now that identifies with businesses like that. Similarly, I would say we should consider on the back page 2 of 2, that residential property where again there is 0 water usage, where we should probably identify what we need to do with this particular property, because even though it is a garage with 3 bays and with a bathroom, there has been 0 water use as identified with recent water reports. So, and then the last property to address discussion on is a commercial site that in fact has been vacant for over a year. They do have 2 receptacles in this establishment, but it's presently been for sale for over a year, and they don't know if it's going to sell for residential or for commercial use. And I want to kind of address, that particular type of property also.
So do you want to do this later in the meeting during the business?
We can do this later on in business, but I wanted to kind of make sure everybody kept abreast of what these changes look like. Okay?
Yep, thank you.
Yes.
Anything else, Rick, or Mr. Hunter?
That's all I have.
Thank you. Please come in. We were just stepping ahead to get some business done.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
How are you?
Didn't mean to interrupt.
Please come on in, welcome.
Sure.
Welcome. Say the same with Billy
Where do you want
Jones.
me?
Wherever you'd like to be.
Okay.
Wherever you are.
In here somewhere. Well, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here to present a New York State Assembly citation to someone in the crowd here, Mr. John Labonte. He's been around for a little bit and served this town very well, so if you'd like to come up, Judge. Mayor, Judge, I don't know what we say now.
I'll go for it, man.
Great, well, this is a New York State Assembly citation, whereas, is that my back to you?
No,
You want to
you're
start
good,
here?
you're good.
Okay.
Fine.
Whereas, a great state is only as great as those individuals who give exemplary service to their community, whether through participation in voluntary programs, through unique achievement in their profession or other endeavors, or simply through a lifetime of good service. Whereas Mr. John Labonte first became town justice in August of 1989, and whereas since then Mr. Labonte has dedicated the last 32 and a half years to the town of Champlain and its residents. And whereas during that time he improved record keeping and brought the court up to date with current technology standards. And whereas he was the longest sitting local judge in Clinton County, was known for running a strict but fair courtroom. And whereas even though he was known for his presence in the court, John has been very active in the community over the years, including being involved in Meals on Wheels and serving as the first manager of the Edward and Beverly Bayshard Senior Housing in Rouse's Point. It is now therefore be resolved that I, as a duly elected member of the New York State Assembly, I recognize that in John Labonte be honored and congratulated for his retirement following his over 3 years of distinguished service atop the bench in the North Country. Mr. Labonte's service makes him an outstanding citizen who is worthy of both his community and the great state of New York.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Can the board go next? We also
Yes,
have a
absolutely.
resolution.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to crash your proceedings.
No, but I just want to, while he's standing up here, I think it's a good time to do this. So, John, this is a resolution of appreciation, John L. Labonte. Whereas the Honorable John L. Labonte has retired as Justice from the town of Champlain, and whereas the Honorable John J. Labonte has served as Justice since August 1989 for the town of Champlain, and whereas he transformed this court from a tiny office with antiquated standards of record keeping to its current efficient operation using today's technology, and whereas he was instrumental in attaining grants to transform this office, he also was involved with the undertaking of incorporating the dissolved villages courts. And whereas during these 32 and a half years of service, he has served with dignity and dedication to his community. And be it therefore resolved that the present board of the town of Champlain go on public record as extending to the Honorable John J. Labonte their sincere expression of gratitude and appreciation for the many years of service. And be it further resolved that this resolution is adopted by the Town of Champlain Board on this 12th day of April 2022, and a copy sent to the Honorable John Labonte by the clerk, by the order of the Town Board.
Well, I'll try not to run my big mouth too long, but I just want to say that words can't express the appreciation I have for the town board and Assemblyman Jones. It's nice to be recognized for your work, and I can tell you right now that I've met a lot of great people. Mr. Moore has been with me from probably the beginning. It'd be remiss of me without thanking Leo Letourneau, who was the supervisor at the time, who asked me to be the judge back in 1989. I was flattered and overwhelmed, and a little over 32.5 years later, I spent half my life doing this job. And it was one of the hardest decisions I ever made in my life to resign from this job, and retire. I had another calling, I believe, and I just want to say thank you to the town board, and thank you, Mr. Jones, for recognizing what I've done. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So at this time, we'd, I guess I'd like a motion to go into recess. We want to go into recess for about 30 minutes in order to have time to talk to John and, of course, to maybe bend the ear of Assemblyman Billy Jones.
No, this is John, this is Judge's time, or Mayor's time. I don't want to.
Bend your ear. Anyways,
I make a motion that we exit regular session and recess for 30 minutes.
I'll second that.
thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Awesome. 2 minutes over, but that's okay. What's that?
See, it's fun to have a little party.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I'll make a motion to leave the recess and go back to the regular business meeting.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So we were at reports from the council members. Sure. Mr. Boyer, would you care to go first?
Sure. I'll start with zoning board. Other than our conversations today about our local law, we had our public hearing on. I guess that's about it. That really is kind of a little subset of it, not really. There's no zoning board information to report. I'll go on to the marketing committee report. So, and feel free to jump in whenever you want here. But we had town, village, community marketing meeting on March 26th. We discussed what the focus of our marketing for the township would be. We brought in several people, what I would call a focus group, from different demographic backgrounds, from age and gender to stakeholders, whether it was business or just a resident. So I thought we had a pretty good calling for that, so a good focus group. We created several lists, so from those lists, and if you look, I did give you the minutes from the meeting, so there's a comprehensive list of the stuff that we talked about, or at least I tried to get down while we were discussing things. Tom was good on the board and I was on the computer, so I think we had a pretty good meeting, ran for over 3 hours. And now we're just gonna try to take this list and basically water it down, condense it into something that can then be storyboarded with our film script for our summer. Our first part is to film summer as we get going. It was a very productive meeting, and I don't know what
I
yet.
thought it was great. I was really pleased to see the turnout we had and the enthusiasm that we had, you know?
Yeah, it's nice to see such a collective sharing of ideas, being able to compile that all in one place. So, and next we've spoken. I made contact with the Boyer Benner Group in Plattsburgh to connect with them and use their services for our town marketing vision, and the financing of that will depend on what services and features that we wish to have. So for them to quote us, we kind of need to tell them exactly what we want them to do. So with board's permission, I'd like to present them with maybe a couple of different option lists, maybe saying, could we have, maybe this is like the A package, this is the B package, and the C package. Could you give us some price points as to what these could be? If that's okay with the board?
Yeah, that's fine with me. Do you have that prepared, or is this something you need to work on, and do you need help with it?
Yes, I would say it probably would be best if we could maybe either as a board collectively or as the marketing committee, I don't know how you'd like to arrive at that set of various lists of what we could ask for, but yeah, I think I would probably like some assistance with that.
Okay. So, maybe we should set another marketing committee meeting soon
Yeah.
to get that laid out and get assistance from different parties of the committee to get that ready, so we can get it to the group, the Board Barner group.
Yeah.
And what about the script itself? Is that something you're working on, or?
Yes, I'm trying to compile that list, and I'd like to work with the videographer and just see if we can maybe come to some kind of an agreement on what would be the best. Here's what I would like versus what's maybe practical and realistic, which is the kind of vision that he brings to the table. So I think you might say, okay, this list is way too long, we need to, you know, you've got
Pare it
20 items on here, we need to boil it down to 4. So it might be something like that.
Okay, so why don't you and I talk, not outside of this meeting, because this is gonna be long enough, and try to come up with what we're gonna do at this next meeting, set a date. And I'll remind you, I've got a contact, I haven't called yet, because I don't think we're to that point, but I may have access to an intern from Plattsburgh State to help if we can come up with a concrete, you know, list of duties that she's gonna be working on, or
Okay.
he, if she gets wrong, whoever this person would be. So,
That'd be great.
Our mystery helper.
yeah, our mystery helper.
Just a thought, Jason, in terms of, you know, we live in such a beautiful area, 4 seasons. Is there a possibility to maybe even look at maybe 2 different videos addressing different seasons? Just a thought, I just want to kind of throw it out there. And maybe kind of change your marketing kind of midway through the year, so that you're addressing people, you know, in your summer, fall, and you're also addressing, or fall, winter, etc. Just a thought.
That's very much the formula of I Love New York.
Correct.
Very much
Correct.
run along those lines. Our vision was to, after talking with the videographer, to do one that was centered on residential life, people wanting to live here and possibly visit here. So that would be one aspect. The second one would be on the commercial aspect. But there's a possibility to subdivide maybe the first one into an A and B, or half a year. It's a possibility of doing that. I can bring that up.
To get up and running for one thing.
Yes,
Right.
correct.
And then work towards that future afterwards.
Okay, that's good. So I'll bring that up, we'll see. That's not a bad idea. And then, we're also working on, Tom has finished his part. I think Ian and I are working on the second half here, making our comprehensive list of suggested changes to the various online sites that are run and operated by the North Country Chamber of Commerce. So that would be the goadirondack.com, nymtl.com, and the North Country Chamber websites, those 3. And making sure that what are on those sites are a good reflection of what is in the town. So we're working on finding the stuff that is there, and does it do us justice, versus the stuff that should be there and it isn't. So we're trying to create our list to then send to them to say, can you please work on, add this, fix this up?
Tweak this.
Yes, correct. So that's a work in progress right now. I think that's it for marketing, unless Amy has anything.
No, I think that, you know, like you said, we just kind of firm up some things and get more of a concrete ideas to them, because really, how can they quote on anything without?
Yeah, but the initial conversation was good.
Oh, yeah.
They're very excited, as people that have local connections here, they're very excited to be working with us, and
That is nice.
I think they already have some ideas. They're trying to I think they already have some ideas about what could be done here, just from their own experience, what they've done in their business versus what's actually here too. So, and I think about where we've come from when we were first talking about this, say, in January versus today, we've really put a lot of groundwork in, so it's moving in a good direction. Yeah, I agree. All right, so next I have Hometown Heroes banners update. The committee met in March, and we reviewed all of the applications that came in. We had a total of 16 that came in, and they were approved. And we worked out all of the details. All of that was submitted to the company that creates the banners. They sent us back the drafts, if you will, of what the banners look like, with the photographs and all of the information. The people that applied for them checked them over. We made any corrections that needed to be made, and they're currently in production. So the Hometown Hero banners are being done and made. And I want to give a huge shout out to Sarah, who has been an immense amount of help in doing this, and Melody Trombley. The two of them have just been fantastic. So thank you to both of them. And just a little side note, Sarah, Melody, and I drove around on April 7th to go identify the actual poles. It was pouring rain, but it was a fun little field trip. So we drove around and we identified where they're all gonna go, because we have to fill out the permits and the paperwork. So we're all set. So they're gonna be up starting around Memorial Day. So people will see them, and they'll be up through Veterans Day. And yeah, so if you did not get an application in, but you're interested, we're gonna reopen the applications in the late fall for the following year, okay? And just a little side note for Rouse's Point, they had 80 applications, and so they're gonna have a lot of banners.
I guess so.
Yeah, so between the Village of Champlain, which has already started their program, the Village of Rouse's Point, and the town, we're gonna see a lot of Hometown Heroes this summer. It's gonna be fantastic. Yeah. Just a note here, I found this was great, but as the temperatures are warming up, it is tick season. So if people are gonna be out on the snow-free trail, the Harry J. McManus Northern Tier Recreation Trail, if you're gonna be out on the snow-free trail, just keep watch of possible, yeah, the ticks. I guess they're out and about now. Talked with Sarah and Calvin Castine. We're working at trying to find some audio equipment that will better help our audio with the meetings. So we're working on that. And also, I'll just toss it out there, we might want to possibly think about some kind of live streaming of the public meetings, as well as the recordings. Something to think about for the future. I'll put that out there. And I'll do another plug. Rick started this, but Rouse's Point Stars and Stripes on the Lake Independence Day celebration. That's going to be June 24th through the 26th. And right now, the committee is still looking for financial sponsors for the event. And you can sponsor anything from making a donation to just be part of the sponsorship group. We also are looking for tent sponsors, pavilion sponsors, fireworks, any other miscellaneous. So if there's anybody out there that's interested in sponsoring the activity, please contact Karen Weierstall, and the email is all one word, Stars and Stripes on the Lake. So it's just like it sounds, STARSANDSTRIPESONTHELAKE@gmail.com. You can also call her, but she won't answer until the evening, 518-796-7949. And again, that's Karen Weierstall. You can also call the American Legion Post 912 in Rouse's Point at 518-297-2600. Looking for volunteers, looking for sponsors. There's all kinds of things. Vendors, parade participants. They're looking for a smattering of things. So please feel free to reach out if you are interested in participating in that. So ends my report.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ward. Councilperson Rochester.
Well, I reached out to a few different people about our employee handbook that we're hoping to revitalize, and well, revise, I should say. My brother-in-law was the town of Jay supervisor for 12 years, and he had some very good points, and he did, when he got into office, he did have to really work on this soon, because there were some problems with his secretary, and I didn't realize that you are able to have your own, what do we call it? Confidential clerk. And he got on a committee that was all the supervisors in a certain area. I think there was, he said there was like 12 people on this committee. And he was able to get handbooks from them that they could, give him some tips about what you definitely want to have in there and what has to be in there. And he ended up going with a guy in Lake Placid who unfortunately doesn't do this anymore, but he also used a company called Amtech, I think it is, and they helped him a lot with getting it organized, because what they had was old, originally, so. And it did not happen overnight. It was a long process. He warned me, it's, depending on where you're going from, how much you need to fill in. And I also went with the place that we have our employee handbook. I emailed them just to ask them what they would require to give us some kind of an idea of what it would cost if we needed to just add some revisions or have something updated. And he said, well, he'd have to have a copy of our handbook, and then he could give us something accurate for a quote. I mean, it may not be that big of a deal, because it depends on what we're missing.
I think that's what I would hope to get out of the first exercise, is just a list of what we're, deficient in. And
We need
so
something to
I think-
compare against.
Well, I think you need to also compare it to the policy book, because I find that there's some overlap. Some of the
Right,
policies
you
we're
were saying
missing,
that, yeah.
I think are living in the handbook.
Aha.
So it may be a case of, well, okay, this really belongs as a policy and not in the handbook,
Right.
and then we read in the policies. That's what I was hoping you'd kind of come up with, is like a list of what you think we require, and I need to forward your list that we, from the training to Ann, so she has a list of the
Now, this
policies that we
policy
thought we were
book-
missing.
Is this it, right here, this things, these?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah, I did not have this,
Yeah,
until
you put
today,
it in our
so.
mailbox, right? Julie?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's a copy of all of our policies. So if you could just start to provide us a list of what you think is overlapping between the handbook and policies, and I'll send you that list that Rick comprised, or the training, and determine what we're missing for a start. And then then we need to look at them individually and see if they need revision.
legally, I mean, that's what I'm concerned about, is that so much has changed over the course of 11 years that it may not be in here, but we can at least see what is in here.
Yeah, and then make a list of
Yeah.
what we need to address. That's what I was hoping to get out of that.
Okay, well, I'll have my bedtime reading for a while. And if I have insomnia, I'm sure this will cure it.
I'm sure it will.
Well, if it's anything like the training that we had for 2 days, you had to poke me to keep me awake.
Okay, anything else?
No, I think, I know, I did get a handbook from Shazy. Bill Arthur was very nice
Okay.
to get me one, and
So
I
we'll
started
compare it.
looking at that to compare it,
Yeah, to see what we're.
Yeah. Yeah, every little bit of information like that is valuable, that if you can see that,
Mhm.
and the way they word it. I mean, sometimes it's just all in the wording.
Yeah, we wanted to be clear and concise.
Exactly, those two words,
Mhm.
top of the list.
Would you like me to reach out to Morris to see if they can send me theirs too?
Well, sure,
Okay.
that would be helpful. I'm thinking something that's similar in size to our town, like maybe,
Mhm.
my brother-in-law, got a lot from Peru, because at that time, they had just done something as well, so it's helpful to have something very current that you can say, oh, well, this is what it should look like,
Mhm.
or this is what we're lacking.
Definitely, definitely, so yeah, thank you. Thank you for working on it, and,
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Yep.
Anything else, Ann?
Nope, I think that covers it.
Okay, well, thank you very much
You're welcome.
to all the council members. Report for the town clerk.
Yeah, I just need approval. The only thing I have is my report for approval.
I make a motion that we approve the town clerk's monthly report, March 1st through March 31st.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any discussion on it? Before I close that, by the way? Okay, motion carries.
I'm gonna go back to the local law,
Okay.
because are you just gonna approve that tonight,
I was gonna do it at the, it should have been number one in new business.
Oh, okay.
So I included in here as a 1A. We
Oh,
probably
okay.
should have missed that. We will get to that as soon as we run through these reports.
Okay.
'Cause I got mine done, so. That should be bills approved, then we'll get to that. So, are you all set?
Yeah.
Okay, so review of post audit bills. And I would welcome an approval for the post audit bills. So I'd make a motion to approve them as presented. Do I have a second?
I'll second those.
Do we have any discussion on the post audit bills? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Carries? Okay, now we have the approval of the monthly bills, including the additionals that was sent out today in the rear here. So we're approving the additional bills totaling $88,994.92. And then these two additionals,
For the island,
yes,
yes,
that's correct,
for 3906.
correct. So I probably should do a total, huh? $89,033.98, is that correct? I'm not sure I had this next time when I'm putting together.
8933.98.
Yeah, that's what I had, so for a total of $89,033.98. I have a motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the bills in the amount of $89.33.98.
I'll second.
Thank you, we'll have roll call on that, please, I think.
Councilmember Bory,
Aye.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore. Aye. Councilmember Hunter.
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Motion Motion carries. I don't have a report from the code enforcement officer, or the highway superintendent. We do have a report from the dog control officer. Have you all reviewed it? I think it's pretty comprehensive and explains what you've been up against.
But there was no vicious dogs.
They said there's no vicious dog.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm always happy to hear that.
Yep. Moving on, we have the EMS report. I'm always amazed at the response time. They had, yeah, definitely. Total calls year to date, 258, and their average response time is 3 minutes. And that's for North Champlain, and there was 32,000 point calls. Clinton County Treasurer Sales Tax Revenue Report.
Some great news.
Yes, it is.
We're seeing an increase of about 19.1% in sales tax over 2021 in
Mhm.
comparison of the first quarter.
Exactly.
And so that's great, some great news.
Yep, exactly. And I have a correspondence, letter from Eagle Scout Richard McGrath. You've all seen this. I think we should recognize him at next week's meeting. You guys agree with that? Prepare
Yes.
a resolution so we can recognize him formally.
Spent a lot of time on this.
Yes, it's a good idea. I can help you and spearhead this as well, with,
Yeah, you were involved in this, weren't you?
correct.
In this
And,
project, I mean.
yes, and I did speak with the mayor of the village of Champlain, and I think we'd like to do a joint resolution if possible.
Okay.
Yeah, which would be to to signify this, and his accomplishment and achievement, and the thanks from both municipalities for,
So do we want to do a joint resolution here at the town meeting? Or
I
do you
think that,
Jen want to do it at both meetings?
no, I think, well, I don't wanna speak for her, I don't wanna assume, so I can double check that.
Yep, we'll work on that for next month and see how we want to orchestrate it, but he definitely needs to be recognized. It's a great accomplishment. Okay, so, new business. Julie, now we're back to the moratorium.
Okay.
How do you want to proceed?
It's just up for discussion with you. but-
Okay, so why don't we put a motion on the floor and we'll go to discussion? So, if you'd like, I'll make a motion that we approve and instate local law number 1 of the year 2022. And if I get a second, I'll open the floor to discussion.
Second.
Okay, now we'd like to discuss this.
I guess one of the questions I have is in regards to Chris's letter, is in terms of, they talk about currently IC1 through IC8 now. Can somebody kind of give me a little bit insight in terms of what that is, what that means, please?
I'm assuming it's our zones and our zoning law, correct, Chris?
Correct. HI is heavy industrial.
Okay,
IC 1 through 4 is industrial commercial.
okay.
LI is light industrial.
There's a
you.
map in my office, if you want me to go get it.
Can I see that? I'd just be curious to see what that looks like before we approve this. Oh, wow. Okay. This area. HI. And your RC 1 through 4 is a combination of, it looks like here. And then in terms of your LI is this area here.
Afterwards, we can turn it over this way.
Yeah,
so the rest of
sure
the board
can.
see it.
So, I'll hold that over in that, maybe in that corner, that'd be great. So.
Very strategic. So the corridor that we're concerned with at this point is under which zone, Rick?
The IC1.
I see one.
IC1.
So it's this area here. So it's here. So it's along this Route 11 corridor. So,
So it's in the green, the light green?
yeah, the light green.
Okay. Yeah, I need landmarks, I think I see Point of Fair over there. Somewhere.
This is
Yeah,
actually,
way on the point.
yeah, you can actually see how Route 9 comes in this way. And then it kind of joins here at the light.
Yep.
And then it
yeah.
kind of continues on. So I'm sorry I have my back to everybody, so. But, okay.
And the area you're talking about, Ann, is SL, small lot residential.
Right.
In the purple?
Yeah, way down in that,
Where the Airbnbs are probably.
in that conservation area, just off the conservation area.
So I'll add in my discussion with Chris here a few minutes ago, you know, I understand their concern, and he enlightened me, which I was aware of that before, that the state funding, I don't know if funding is the right word, but the assistance towards solar energy is on a schedule of diminishing amounts. So timing is very crucial for their company, or any solar company trying to set up. If you want to get it done before next year, when I think they're predicting it's going to go down to 10%, is that correct, Chris?
Yeah, it drops by more than 50%.
Oh, wow, that's a big difference.
How much did you say?
Drops from, the federal incentive drops from 22%
Yes.
to 10%.
Okay.
So what we anticipate happening is, it will be more difficult to get projects funded and constructed, much more so after that drop.
So, in my opinion, it means, you know, we need to do due diligence for this company and try and get this done as quickly as we can. I need to work with River Street to make sure that we get these zones adjusted accordingly in less than 12 months. Because I understand his dilemma, it makes sense.
Predicament, yeah.
But at the same time, I don't feel we can add that sentence in literally.
Not at this time, until we actually
Not at
get the
this
report.
time, until we get a report and figure out how we're going to address this. That's all I have to say on it.
We appreciate this correspondence, and you've spoken, you know, very, very well as to, you know, several points, and we're on the same page. It's the nature of not understanding the beast before we unleash it. That's really the issue here.
That's a good way to put it.
So, until we can understand it, we just need a little time. So we understand you're on a time frame. So if we work with that in mind, trying to move quickly on this, that hopefully can make everybody happy at the end of the story.
Yeah, I hope to find a middle ground where we can both live within that. Any further discussion?
Just I agree with you, the speedier we do it, the better.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I realize the urgency.
Yeah, it's not to sit on it. It's for us to just get going. This is for us to make sure that we can move forward in the correct manner.
If I may, one option the board might consider, to please the board, would be to consider a 6-month extendable to 12-month moratorium, so that you have an initial period of 6 months that you could then extend to 12 if necessary. That might drive a more expeditious outcome.
Well, I think the outcome's gonna be based on our initiative and the company that we've hired to do this,
Yes.
and make clear the urgency to them. And I don't really wanna re-rate this, because it's ready to be put in place, because that would cause a re-rate, and that would cause
A delay?
a delay.
Yeah.
So with that, any more discussion? All in favor of passing?
Aye.
Do you want a roll call or?
Do you want a roll call?
We can do a roll call.
We can do a roll call.
Yeah, let's do a roll call, John.
Councilmember Bory,
Aye.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Motion carries, and, you what I say, we're gonna have to move on this one. Okay, now you have in front of you the quotes for the generators for the Ridge Road. They're separate, we got quoted separately, or two separate projects, I think, which is good. We have three of them to review. Thank you.
Good night.
Customer service, we will be part of this. We'll be in touch. So I would, and as you can see, this was quoted, one of these quotes is showing what the cost of hooking up in propane. If for some reason we don't get natural gas hookup, we're in the process. Sarah has filled out the applications. I spoke with the NICEAG man named Bill Horner. He was supposed to go out to the site and get back to me. I'll probably, if you remind me, I'll reach out to him tomorrow, because he was supposed to call last Friday and let me know what what his view is on the sites. But I'm quite certain that we should be able to get natural gas hooked up there. But if not, you can see the cost of putting propane is not cheap either. And I only have a verbal estimation from Bill that it's gonna be $1,000 or so for the hookup at the Dubois Road location, and less than that at the Ridge Road. So, I mean, out of these three quotes, I think the Rogers is definitely the lowest cost.
I think Carl Smith is, isn't it? I thought Carl Smith came in lower. This was a late one to the table, I think, though.
It was, but no, the total is,
I thought TikTok was, total was around 66,000.
yep,
And then the.
Carl is 54. And
I thought Rogers was 56. Was 56, 533.
yep, you're
And
right,
then Carl Smith was
You're right.
54, 996.
you're right. Yeah, that's how close they are.
Yes, they are very close.
Okay.
What are these generators gonna do for?
Their backup power, so one on the Dubois Road,
Uh-huh.
that's a wastewater lift station, sewer lift station.
Okay.
So it's a backup power, or
If
power
something fails,
outages.
yeah.
Because I don't know how many hours it could go without power there before we would be at a flood stage, but it's required. So currently there's an old generator there. That one's a portable, which we want to keep. The one on the Ridge Road is a pump station for the Ridge Road water line. So it's a boost station to boost the pressure, because the pressure at the very end of the line is right at the border line.
Poor,
Yeah, without it, it's poor.
right.
So again, that one is to ensure that pump station
Doesn't
is
stop.
operable
Yeah.
during a power outage, to ensure pressures don't drop at too low of a level.
Yeah.
That generator is in really rough shape. That needs to be replaced.
Is it pretty old?
Yeah, it is pretty old. So yeah, that's, interesting they're that close, because Rogers was giving us,
And the only
Let's give it
question I
a
have
slide.
is in terms of the description, Tom,
where is that?
yeah, there's a couple pieces in there, and again, I'm not mechanically inclined enough to be able to differentiate between some of the things that Rogers has included in his quote. Like, for example, the standby emergency generator with a matching three-phase fully automatic transfer switch. Again, I'm assuming that's comparable to Carl Smith's quote of 200 amp, 208 volt, three-phase transfer. Again, I can't speak to it.
It's Greek.
Well, it's the same generator.
It appears to be the same generator,
Yeah.
but again, I don't. So it's just in terms of the way that the actual estimate was prepared, maybe, in terms of the verbiage. But in terms of the individual breakdown, I do notice that Carl breaks down each of these components separately, where, there's a little bit more detail, I think, with Carl's than there is with both Rogers and with TikTok. Individual line item basis, I guess I should say.
Do you have the Ridge Road quote from Rogers in front of you?
I do. The Ridge Road quote from Rogers is two pieces. One is the installation, service, and maintenance, along with the generator and material and services, and that is in the amount of $23,772. Along with that is the quote for the 500-gallon propane storage tank, with propane reimbursement, regulator, first stage, second stage, metal rigid riser, concrete blocks 4-inch, and that is in the amount of $37,4263. So that total amount is $27,514.63, I think, if I did my math right.
That's if we go with if we have to go with propane.
Correct.
If we had to go to propane, but what's missing is the trade-in value on the old
Right,
generator.
there was nothing on there for,
For Ridge Road,
Yeah, it was originally, but it's not on this one. Because that's what brought it in, that's why I was saying it was the lowest, because with that, it brought it down.
that would make sense. Yep.
$1,000, so I don't understand why I don't have that on this quote. That's why I wanted you to check yours.
He does give a customer discount of $1,000.
Yeah,
And that is
that's for.
included, but that doesn't appear to be the same thing you're referencing.
Yeah, it's the same thing, I think. He just reworded it.
Is that what it is?
Well, it's for existing stationary generator and transfer switch, so yeah, that's what it is. That's what it was, $1,000. So yes, it's in there. He changed the wording between the first quote you sent us and then that one. Okay, so, the only thing I can tell you about my conversation with Carl is it might be harder for installation because he works a full-time job and does this on the weekends.
Gotcha.
Being that they're so close, I think that should be considered,
Right.
because it would be harder for us in a lot of ways, but it probably could be worked around as well, so that's up to the board.
If we don't have to install propane tanks, Rogers is cheaper. And it's about comparable if we do have to go with propane.
Correct.
Right. It's close.
I guess that's what I was looking at, because he doesn't have the propane, the Carl Smith does
No.
not have the propane in there.
He does not. So it would be above that.
Which those tanks, that's what kills you, you gotta buy the tanks. propane tanks.
Right,
You could rent them, but,
well, you're better,
yeah,
you're
you're
better to
off.
own them, because then you have versatility of, where you wanna buy from. Okay, Rick, that's why, because you're putting in the propane, because that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The generator equipment installation is 49,000, so it is lower. And this one did not quote the propane,
No.
and I'm quite certain that they'll hook up natural gas, but if not, they'll be the,
Well, the moratorium,
we'll have to do the,
the moratorium doesn't take effect, until the next, later. So this would be installed before the moratorium on natural gas hookups.
yes,
So, I mean, you should be able to get it.
yes, in regards to, that was 2023, right? when that
I
was-
believe so.
All subject to change.
And that's in regards to Calvin's email, right?
Yes.
And just so you know, what he's referring to, it's a moratorium from the state.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I found it, I think it just worded it differently, so when you have,
This is the 1,000
yeah, it's in here, it's called a customer
What he did is
discount.
he did a customer discount, so he included it.
okay, yes.
That's
So-
part of
It's
the
the same
problem.
Sorry
thing, I'm
about
sorry,
that.
Sarah.
No, you're fine.
We figured out where you're going. Thank you.
Can you speak to, the length of time that, in comparing Rogers versus Carl Smith, how long they've been in business, reliability, I don't know.
Yeah, they're both, I think very reliable, and they're both certified with Generac.
Right.
I can't, well, I can speak of that I originally contacted Rogers when I started, after the last meeting when we needed quotes. Then I contacted Woodhill Electric in Raybrook. They came down, looked at it, and when he asked me, personally, I know him quite well, he says, can I ask who else is bidding, just so I know that you've got somebody reputable? And I told him Rogers, he was like, he's very good. I said, I'm happy with that. I'm glad you're using him. Then he dropped out because he just didn't have time. So he respectfully pulled himself out of the bidding process, and I asked him for references. He provided Carl Smith as a reference.
He did.
That's how I found him. That's how I ride with these guys. So I think you're looking at apples to apples, I believe, in regards to certifications and quality of these two businesses. And I don't mean to speak of the other one, but that one is much, much higher, so I wasn't even considering it.
Yeah, TikTok's a lot higher.
I find it hard to, with that name, to even think of it being a company like that.
And I don't mean to nitpick here, but, I mean, in terms of Carl Smith's quote, in terms of the description, it, talks about all parts and labor for installation, where Rogers does address service and maintenance on top of the installation. So
True.
I think that might be a piece where you might want to think about that, so, just like that.
Well, I mean, I'll put a motion out there, if we want to discuss it further after the second, we can, but I'll put a motion out that we award the bid to Rogers for each location, one totaling $25,276 and the other one $23,772. I really do believe timing is a factor as well. Making sure he has these in stock.
With the supply chain,
I know.
That's it.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, we want to get these in the summer. We're gonna have to address putting a building on the Dubois Road also, so we'll do that. We'll do that later, we'll do that through email and stuff. I gotta get together with Chris and we'll figure out where to go with that.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, is there any further discussion now? Okay. Again, roll call, because of money, please.
Councilmember Rochester?
So you're asking
To vote
to vote on which one?
on Rogers.
On Rogers, okay.
That's the
Yes,
motion.
that's the one that has the service and the maintenance as well as the other features? Yeah, I would be more comfortable with that, so I guess, yes.
Councilmember Bory?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley?
Aye. Motion carries, thank you. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the 22nd annual town finance school. I just realized how they take that. This is for, I'd like to send Sarah. Sarah's able to go. This is a May 16th and 17th in Albany. The pre-registration rates are $200, and then we'll have the room booking on top of that and any expenses. So we all know how I feel about training, it's very important.
I think it's wonderful.
I do too.
And,
I'm gonna make the motion that we approve Sarah's attendance at the 22nd Annual Town Finance School on May 16th and 17th in Albany.
And to include all expenses.
And to include all expenses, not only the pre-registration fee of $200, but also
Travel.
allotment for
Travel.
food, travel, and also room.
Correct. So we can't really put a dollar limit on it, but we will approve those bills when they come back in.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Can I call a vote, please?
Councilmember Rochester?
Aye.
Councilmember Bory?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley?
Aye. Thank you. No opposed, motion carries. Next thing on the agenda is to send Chris, just approval for, really it's just travel expense. This is just SUNY Potsdam, send Chris to this ANCA Clean Energy Program, North Country Energy Code Enforcement Training. So, I mean, you may have, there's gonna be gas, you'll be able to take the town truck. Possibly meals. I don't see where they provide meals right now, so I'm not sure. But
And
it's a one-day training.
I don't know if everybody's looked at that closely, but there's also access to a $5,000 clean energy community grant that the town would be able to apply for, so there's a benefit or a perk on the other
Yes,
side
there
of it.
is.
Yeah,
Yes, there is.
that's valuable.
Thanks for pointing that out.
I'll make a motion to approve the code enforcement officer to attend this recommended clean energy enforcement training.
Yep.
And any necessary expenses associated with it.
I'll second.
Thank you, and a roll call on that as well, so we'll be suspended.
Councilmember Rochester?
Aye.
Councilmember Bory?
Aye.
Councilmember Moore?
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter?
All right.
Supervisor Trombley?
Aye. No opposed, motion carries. Next one on the list is, as you know, right now with FEMA redoing the floodplain, Chris is our floodplain manager for the town and has never had training in this, so he's really has to fly blind here when he gets questioned on stuff, look stuff up. This is very important training in regards to that, so he understands how to deal with any permits. Example, if somebody wanted to build a house in that floodplain, there are specific requirements that have to go into those plans. So he really needs to understand this. I know this one's gonna be a little more expensive. So I'm estimating it's gonna be somewhere around $650 to $700. I contacted, both the town of Shazy and the village of Champlain. They will share the cost in this, because this benefits the three of us. So it's gonna be relatively inexpensive to send them. So it's a 3-night stay, and the hotel is scheduled through the training. And this is for New York State, oh gosh, they're not even trying to go there. It's,
I love acronyms.
I know, New York State FEMA something or another annual conference in partnership with New York WEA, whatever that is. Yeah, they don't, it's just all acronyms.
And where is it?
It is
Schenectady.
Schenectady, yes, that's correct.
Yeah, that definitely sounds worthwhile. Look at all the flack he's gonna get, I mean.
Oh, not only that, what was it estimated, we have what, 92 different
Yeah.
properties that are inside that flood zone?
Yeah, we have,
So,
He's not getting flack, because he's not responsible for
Right.
it, but it's the information that he needs to know to explain it to people.
Correct.
and to go forward when, doing a permit for somebody that wants to
Yeah.
build a building, right?
Yeah,
Would it be
well,
a
he'll be the
living
point of
quarters or
contact,
not?
won't he? I mean,
Well,
people will be talking to him about it. and
yeah, because
not happy
he's
with
got
it.
the maps, that's what's helpful, he can draw up the maps and
Good.
show where people are in relation to the flood zone. Because it's interesting, we found out the other day that, some properties have less property in the flood zone.
Mhm.
It's like,
Mhm.
Cause it's underwater?
No, but
That's
see,
right. Doesn't
we
make a lot
had
of
one
sense.
resident receive a letter because, he was in that grouping,
Mhm.
according to the county, he's not sure, or it could be because the flood zone is still touching his property at the very edge
edge of the property.
of the property by the river. Either way, he happens to be unique. His home was directly in the flood zone on the current map, and on a new proposed map, they've actually pulled it back, and he's out of it. So that was an easy phone call to make.
Oh, I bet he was happy about that.
Yeah, it was.
That insurance is just astronomical, I heard.
well, that's the big carrot to get people to get the flood insurance now, because if you get it now, your rate is locked in.
Correct.
Which, you think if the hazard has gone up, that they would still wanna charge you more, based on your
But they have-
likelihood of a flood.
But they have to base it on the current map.
Yeah, well, right, that's what they'll do, but it locks you in, so even when it goes to the old map, the new map, and you're more in the flood zone, your rate still stays the same.
Correct.
So that's the carrot they're using to get you to go and get the flood
With
insurance.
Flood insurance,
Correct. So anyways, I like a motion to send Chris to his training in Schenectady, please.
I make a motion that we send Chris to the New York Floods Annual Conference Training in partnership with NYWEA on May 3rd through May 5th in Schenectady.
I second the motion, I think it's really gonna be helpful.
Thank you. Can I have a roll call, Julie?
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Bory,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. No opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Could I just ask one thing that we have, looks like 3 trainings that we've approved. Is it possible that we could request some kind of a briefing or a synopsis after they come back from their training, whether it's in writing or just
It's a good
it
idea.
doesn't have to be anything specific in terms of
Like a very,
some kind of essay or something. It just needs to be a little bit of
Basically,
what they got out of it.
some sort of a report, but very, very general.
Jason and I, both being a former educator and educator, we recognize that anytime we go to a conference representing the school district, we had to actually come back and make a presentation. So that way, it wasn't just a closed-ended type of training where nobody else had an opportunity to kind of share in the information. I think that's a great idea, Jay.
I do too.
So,
I do too. Thank
There you
you
go.
for saying that.
everybody will love
Sorry.
that.
We have agreement out there as well. It can be very general, but
A little
Yeah.
blurb.
to share the important points, the worthwhile points, the takeaways.
Just in case you might be out having fun, you know?
I'll be the bad guy. I know. I'll give them your number.
Okay, so next thing up on the list here is the letter that we'd like to send out to the West Service Road Sewer District number 6. You've all had time to review it. Essentially, this interest money that was borrowed needs to be paid back to the A fund. And then in order to balance the account, there has to be a maintenance fee until we can get more hookups on this line, or if we can go through with merging those districts. Either way, we wouldn't have to have a fee next year, but this is to get us balanced. So all we need is to approve this, and then we'll send it out and go from there. Again, do you want to discuss it now, or you want to get a motion on the floor, and then we'll put discussion in the middle?
So just so I'm clear, so there'll be a similar letter going out to all 12 property owners, and each of their parcel IDs
Mhm.
will appear at that bottom, and they all will be paying that same amount of 103.29.
No.
Okay,
It's
so can you explain in terms of how the EDU designation for the public, how that works?
Yeah, this letter, this example that this draft you're looking at is based off one EDU, correct, Sarah?
It's a half,
Oh, this
because
one's a
it's
half.
103.
That's right, this one's a half.
Right.
So, those properties that are one, then that payment for the interest and fees,
658?
so it would be 206.58.
658.
And for those that are 6 EDUs, it would be 206 by 6.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, and then the, $2,000 of service fee would be calculated the same manner by EDUs. And that's the same schedule that was used initially when they paid the $4,000 to $6,000. Should do. You okay with this? It needs to be done. And like I said, if we're able to pull off a merger, I'm hoping that our attorney can get that looked at in the very near future, so we can move forward with it. If we can even merge that district with one other, we can get it out of trouble. If not, we need some serious increase in usage. You know, the current people that are hooked up will probably see a slight increase, hopefully this year, because of things being more normal, but it's not enough to get it right now.
Into the black.
Into the black. So, I entertain a motion to approve and send out that billing, essentially.
And how many people is this billing gonna go to?
13, correct, Sarah?
12 property owners.
Oh, 12, I'm sorry, that was 13 in that line.
Just the people in that sewer district.
So this is SS3,
Yes.
correct?
Correct. So it's the West Service Road District, which is the newest one that was put in 2020.
So is there only businesses there?
Yes. Yes, primarily, yes. But there's several that haven't hooked up, but I, you know, inquired, spoke with one, it was Beeline, they're looking into it. You know, he realizes either way he has to pay for the district, so he would like to hook up and use it, it depends on the cost, so he's having, that looked into right now, to see if he has to get through ledge or not, because that's what brings the cost of getting that pipe put in. And I had a meeting scheduled for A.M. Derringers, but it's postponed, so I don't know if I can convince him to hook up as well. If all of those accounts were tied in, it would be significant. I don't know how much, because he doesn't have water either, he's gonna have to hook up to water. So I can't even estimate if it was enough to get us up into the black or not.
So right now, we're going into the hole with it?
Yeah, it's in the red, it's in the red, you know, because of the expenses, you know, you have to pull, Sarah pulls the minimum amount out of that account for employee benefits, because the employee benefits has to be drawn from all district accounts, all special districts, so, you know, divide it out. And that is just because of not enough usage, it's
Right.
just keeping it in the red, you know, by about, currently at $1,300.
Correct.
So, I think merging them
Key then.
is the real answer, but I haven't found out if we can do that yet. And it's gonna take time to go through the process, it's pretty lengthy. As anyone knows that went through with the water district, it takes some time.
Well, it's unfortunate, but it needs to be done. This can't sit as,
No, that money's gotta go back to that equal.
Correct.
It has
So-
to.
and I think that's laid out pretty clearly here. I don't think there's anything you can just simply put other than this is what needs to happen.
Correct, and I wanna point out that for some reason we ended up with version 1 in our pile, but I did email all of you version 2, which includes
Yes.
the annual maintenance,
Right.
annual service fee rather. And it also includes some verbiage that Ryan
Yes.
had suggested that I definitely agreed that needed to go in there.
Yeah.
But apparently I didn't send it to Julie, or forgot, or whatever, didn't mention it, and I didn't notice it today when I was reviewing this. Other than that, it's the same. So I'll put the motion out there, I make a motion to approve that and to get this billing done and so forth. Do I have a second?
I'll second that. Yep. No problem.
Is there gonna be a roll call on that one?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Not on this.
Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. So that's in the minutes that we're going to send that out. Next thing we have is a proposed refunding bond resolution. If you've had time to review this, Sarah's been working hard on it. I think, I want to point out to you, and I think you're aware of this, this refinancing for SS2, correct? Will save those owners $56,000 in interest fees, and also shave the time period down by 1 year. So this will be a 10-year loan. It's also nice because it's going to be a steady scheduled payment. It won't be fluctuating like the previous ban. So it'll be $35,000 and change every single year till it's paid off. This does not save the taxpayers' money. This does not save, you know, the town of Champlain, but this saves those people on that. So I think it has to be done, is what I'm trying to say. It's, you know, when we look into it, there's quite a bit of work, but we would be wrong to turn our head to it and not try to save some folks some money. So what we need to do is approve this, this resolution. And Sarah, could you add to that, because I think then it goes back to Doug, right? There's another step after this, in other words. Approving this doesn't put it fully in effect, does it?
Correct, yes, there's a couple different steps that has to be done before it's completely even initiated. Not gonna lie to you, refinancing a bond is very complex.
Yeah.
So, this is just the first step
Mhm.
to get the ball rolling.
And we're trying to get it done before the end of May, or, because there may be another interest hike,
Yes.
so.
Yeah, they've been talking about
Yeah, so if we miss that mark, we might see less savings for these folks. But I think it's worth doing, so what I'd like to do now is I just wanna read you the preamble, I have to read you the preamble of the bond resolution, and then I will do the preamble of the estoppel. And then we'll vote on it. I'm certainly not gonna read 13 pages, that's how big this resolution is.
it.
So I looked up my requirements, and preamble is all I'm required to read,
I
so.
like that word.
Okay, refunding bond resolution dated April 12, 2022. A resolution authorizing the issuance pursuant to section 90.00 or section 90.10 of the local finance law or refunding bonds of the town of Champlain, Clinton County, New York, to be designated substantially public improvement refunding serial bonds and providing for other matters in relation thereto and the payment of the bonds to be refunded thereby. Whereas the town of Champlain, Clinton County, New York, hereinafter the town, heretofore issued $575,000 general obligation serial bonds series 2003 dated April 29, 2003, pursuant to certain duly authorized bond resolutions each dated February 11, 1997, to pay the cost of the acquisition and construction of improvements for the town of Champlain's sewer benefit area number 1 and water benefit area number 1, and a bond determination certificate of the supervisor, herein referred to as the refunded bond certificate. Such general obligation bonds series 2003, now outstanding in the amount of $305,000, maturing on April 1st annually in each of the years 2023 to 2033, both inclusive, as more fully described in the refunded bond certificate. And whereas it would be in the public interest to refund all or a portion of the $305,000 outstanding principal balance of said bonds maturing in the years 2023 to 2033, both inclusive, by the issuance of refunding bonds pursuant to the section 90.00 or section 90.10 of the local finance law. And whereas such refunding will result in present value savings in debt service as so required by section 90.10 of the local finance law. Now there be it resolved by the town board of the town of Champlain, Clinton County, New York, as follows, and that's where you go into the 13 pages of the rest of the bond, which I hope you had time to
I did, and it was enjoyable reading, but I was a businessman.
That is a good point.
Your tongue might fall off of you.
It only took me about an hour and 15 minutes to read it though. It was dense reading.
Yes, it was. You're a good man, Mr. Hunter. Okay,
Sent.
now for the estoppel, legal notice of estoppel. Notice is hereby given that the resolution, a summary of which is published herewith, has been adopted by the town board in the town of Champlain, Clinton County, New York, on April 12, 2022. And the validity of the obligations authorized by such resolution may be hereafter contested only if such obligations were authorized for an object or purpose for which said town is not authorized to expend money, or if the provisions of law which should have been complied with as of the date of publication of this notice were not substantially complied with, and an action, suit, or proceeding contesting such validity is commenced within 20 days after the date of publication of this notice, or such obligations were authorized in the violation of the provisions of the Constitution. Dated April 12, 2022, Champlain, New York. The preamble is, whereas the town of Champlain, Clinton County, New York, hereinafter the town, heretofore issued general obligation serial bond series 2003, and whereas it would be in the public interest to refund all or a portion of the outstanding $305,000 principal balance of the 2003 bonds maturing in 2023, and thereafter the refunded bonds, by the issuance of refunding bonds pursuant to section 90.00 or section 90.10 of the local finance law. Now, therefore be it resolved by the town board of the town of Champlain, Clinton County, New York as follows, and that is where we go section 1 through 8 of the remainder of this estoppel. And that was the preamble.
What does that word mean, estoppel?
I know you can explain it better than I can, Chris.
Never even
What
heard
it
of
does
that.
is as long as the town meets their legal obligation, it doesn't allow anybody from out in the community to actually come back on the town.
Okay.
It's a
And
protection.
that's the best way I can make it sound, where it's easy to understand,
Right,
so.
so it's a protective kind of,
It is a protection, correct. It's a legal recourse to kind of protect the municipality.
So we probably should do
makes sense?
vote separately on these, correct? Julie, would you say?
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to vote on the resolution first. So I would make a motion to approve the refunding bond resolution dated April 12, 2022. Look for a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, and I think we'll do a roll call on this.
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Maury,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Then I'll make a motion to approve the legal notice of estoppel, which is also be dated April 12th, 2022.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion, and we'll go to roll call. No?
Councilmember Rochester,
Aye.
Councilmember Maury,
Aye.
Councilmember Moore,
Aye.
Councilmember Hunter,
Aye.
Supervisor Trombley.
Aye. Motion carries, thank you. Ridge Road Water Station repairs, I sent you guys the photos of this. This is, we don't need to make decisions on this tonight, but I need to know how you want me to proceed. I don't know how to accomplish this without trying to get an engineering firm involved to engineer replacement parts. As you can see, my biggest concern is that elbow in the main. I should have brought that piece of metal in here, it's on my desk if you guys want to go see it, but it's gotta be half of the baker syrup. It's gotta be about 50% of that pipe is rotted away, and I'm really concerned that we're gonna have a big blow.
When I was in this week, and I was speaking to Chris, that if you look at the photos that you sent in the email, it seems to me like the priority is replacing that elbow now. And then the rest of it, we can, but that elbow really looks like it's lost a lot of its durability. Yeah, that's quite a,
It looked very sad in the photographs,
yeah.
so.
It gives you a pretty good idea in terms of.
Like corrosion, huh?
That's the loose rust that came off, and then when you
You can have
touch,
this now.
when you touch below that, yeah, really, hang on to that. When you wanna see
The
it?
lucky charm.
Right.
When you touch below, we'll throw it.
Looks like
it
something
still feels spongy, so there's a few more layers that are
underneath that.
underneath that, that's
Right.
still loose. We're not down to, I didn't wanna go poke around anymore.
No. Good idea.
So yeah, we need to start investigating how to get this done.
Well, he explained to me, because he said that it would look like they tried to replace the elbow, but the nice thing is that I asked him if you did have to shut the water down, does that mean all those people in that location, in fact, will lose water? And he said that you actually have two different pumps, and I guess you could actually shut one down while you're doing something to
That's
the
for
other.
changing the pump, not the elbow.
Right, right.
For the elbow,
that
we
one,
gotta shut that line down.
For a period of time,
Yeah.
for a short period of time.
Yeah.
You can't really stagger it, right? It has to be,
Right,
yeah.
yeah, to do
That's
the
gotta
elbow.
get done.
Yeah, it's gotta get done. And the rest of it as well. I mean, it needs, I'd like to address it as a total project. Maybe we can do it in A and B,
I would-
try to get the most
Right.
serious thing done, but
Right.
there may be equipment there we don't need anymore. We do not chlorinate anymore, there's no need to. The results that Chris showed me is we're holding fine. We just have to flush it, that line, and we're fine. We don't need to inject, since we're on a new system.
Right.
Prior to the new water system, maybe because of the lower pressure, I'm not sure, but they were not getting enough chlorine up that ridge road, so they used to chlorinate. And that's why we have the damage we have, I think, is from
Right.
chlorine.
Right. Yeah, it sits in there.
Yeah. So my question to the board is, how do you want me to pursue? You want me to contact Barton or Judas and see if I can get them to come look at it and start a project and determine how to move forward?
Are they
From
our
there,
only choice?
from there, we're gonna have to go out and find somebody to do the work.
Yeah.
I think if we hire an engineering firm, it's gonna be expensive. I mean, hiring an engineer might be the simple way to do it, if we could do that. And I don't think it's gotta be real complicated, we just wanna make sure we do it right. Or that we're,
Yeah, so I don't think we have anybody, and I think if you get into a cost where you're gonna have to go out and try to find 3 people, you would have to find a firm, like if you're gonna try to stay away from engineering it, you would have to try to find a firm, maybe the one in Plattsburgh, I can't think of it.
Like a heating,
No,
plumbing?
no, somebody
business,
that
or-
does municipal water work,
Oh, yeah.
and see if they are able to quote the equipment that needs to be put in there.
Mhm.
Or we do that for just the elbow and then go forward with engineering for the rest of the equipment, because a lot of that equipment can now be changed. All we need is the booster pumps.
yeah.
Yeah, it seems like the elbow really, to me, requires attention now. It needs to be a
That's the
priority.
important thing.
And then, but yes.
But yes, the pumps do as well, because that pump on the right-hand side is soon gonna fall off.
Right.
And then we have those 2 pressure tanks, where one is, as Chris put it, maybe we should block it up because it's rotted to the point that I think the piping is gonna hold it in place. If it wasn't for the piping, I think it would fall over.
Mm.
That was one of the photos I shot you. You'd have to zoom in to see the base being all rotted at the floor. I can contact someone. I know the village doesn't have time, and he's been down 2 men. Cause I did ask Mike if
Does
that
he
was a
have a
possibility.
recommendation?
Yeah, it's at my desk. I can't remember the name of the company. We also have Todd Dio. Todd Dio could probably do the pipe, but
Yeah.
not the rest of the project.
Mhm.
Right. But he
Yes,
might
Sarah?
be able,
Sorry, just to confirm, this project would come out of COVID money.
Mhm.
Would not be coming out of a fund, because it is water or sewer,
Mhm.
it can be used for COVID money.
Good.
Yeah, I was gonna add that. Thank you, you're
Okay,
right.
sorry.
No, that's okay. I just hadn't got to it yet, and I kinda was assuming you guys knew that, but thank you for reiterating. But yeah, that would come out of our ARP money. ARAP money. ARAP, ARPA.
maybe there might be somebody from the village that, is familiar with that with the water, I mean, they've got a water plant too.
I really think we're gonna have to replace all that equipment that's
No,
bad, we're gonna have to engineer
But the-
it. I
the
guess.
just a
elbow-
recommendation.
I'm just saying the elbow, yeah,
Right, yeah.
and then possibly get the recommendation from, just ask around and, cause, I know it's COVID money, but you get an engineering firm in there, and it's just, it's gonna double or triple the cost. I mean, they don't do anything simply. They engineer buildings, they engineer water projects, an engineering firm. They don't, it's like a plumber, well, my faucet leaks, it needs a washer,
I know, but I don't think there's any way around it, Brian.
So let me ask you this, as a municipality, are we bound though to move in that direction because of, do we have to actually go to an engineering firm? That's my
Not
question.
that I know of.
And I don't
know any other way to do this. I mean, I don't know how to engineer what that,
What about the gentleman that did our highway one, Petrashum? Just asking different questions. I don't
Which
know.
one?
Petrashum?
yeah, what do you do, because I'm not familiar.
The water system that's in the highway garage to filter for, like the sand and salt that goes in the floor and stuff like that. He helped us design,
He does like things like the Andy Abdella and that kind of firm does, right?
he's much smaller than the bigger one,
Yep,
so that might be an
That's-
option.
that's
Can we
fine.
reach out to them and see?
That's an option, yeah.
Yeah.
That's an option.
We'll contact him first.
Let's do that.
Him first, and that other group that Mike gave me that I have written down in my office. They're out of Plattsburgh.
but we're gonna try and proceed
Without
getting
the
that elbow
engineering.
fixed
Right.
first.
Right.
Yeah, well, I think we could use the same people, but,
Yeah,
yeah,
but I mean, it's gonna be
possibly, but yes,
Probably-
we're gonna do it in two stages.
two
Right.
stages.
The
yeah.
emergency stage is get the elbow replaced.
Emergency
Right.
stage
And then
first, yeah,
The next stage is to fix the rest of it,
yeah.
So,
okay?
yeah, I agree.
All right, and we'll move forward with that. I don't think
Okay.
we need to discuss it any further. Water tank insurance, I need to, I'm sure you reviewed the letter from the mayor. So I'm gonna draw up a contract, an agreement, I should say, which will compose of both the O&M for the tanks that they agreed on as well, and the insurance in the one document. And it will simply be, they will split the cost 50%. So in other words, we will have the work done, we will purchase the insurance, which we have, provide a copy of the bill and invoice them for 50%.
Did we get a copy of that? Or
Yeah, you should have.
I don't think I got that. Did we get that?
You
The
should
one
have.
from the village?
I emailed it to you.
That one?
Yep. It looks like that. So this was an agreement to one of the recommendations.
Oh, so this doesn't include the cost though in terms of, okay. All right. Yeah, I did see that.
Cost of what?
The actual cost, so you're talking just about the actual verbiage in terms of the village sharing the actual cost between the two water. Okay.
Yeah, splitting 50.
Yeah, that was
sharing
in
it 50%.
that was in our response to the water bill, yes.
Yes, I can't put a dollar amount, so it's gonna vary, so it's just gonna be.
Correct.
So once I have that written, I'll run it by the mayor, when we both agree with it, and we'll go to the attorneys.
And would that also include the actual, the insurance premiums? Because I noticed that there were some insurance premiums that were quoted for both the West Service Road in the amount of $22.78 and the Prospect Street $19.72.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
Yes.
That's what it's about.
Yep, okay. I
That's
just wanted to be
exactly
sure
so.
that we're,
They agreed to split those costs since both tanks are shared.
So this will finalize the report for the year.
because we have not heard, right.
I think, yeah, right, this is the last piece of it.
It's the last piece of it, yes.
And then you said it would include operation and maintenance.
Yes. Yeah, correct. We'll put that in one document. So, I can get after that, huh? Portable restroom prices? Who do you wanna go with?
The highlight of the evening.
It's,
we just talked water, now we're gonna talk.
Hey, does it
Potty chairs.
Does it really make a difference? Again,
Who have we been using, Sarah?
have we gotten recommendations on even the top two? I mean, with the
Well-
lowest prices? So T&L Septic and Morrison
T&L we
Septic.
used last year and we didn't have any
Issues?
any issues from last year.
So why not go with the lowest cost?
I agree.
So,
The other ones were good too, but it's just, he's local and he was good.
We don't need a motion on that.
Win-win.
Win-win.
we don't
yes.
need a motion on that, do
I don't think
No,
so.
we
It'd be
never
tough to
have
put those
before,
words
we
together.
never did before.
Oh, it was nice to see what the competition is, so we know that's good.
Yeah, no, this is a good comparison, Sarah got these quotes, and so we'll go with T&L Septic, and that's, for everybody to know, that's the porta potties at the parks.
And I'll have him put it on normally the 1st of May, and then it normally stays until October sometime.
Yeah, October, and November one year, but, you know, it all depends. No, it's, Indian summer sometimes, you know, and then plus, people are using the ball, you know, it's not snow, so they use the basketball court,
Right.
or they're walking, if they're walking on the rec trail,
That's right, gets
welcome.
you sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And there's just the one, right?
There's
One at
each
Bob
field.
Venn and
On
then
each-
one at Perry's Mills.
Correct.
Yes,
Okay, so the two, yeah.
So you're
No,
recommending into November, that's fine.
give or take, yes.
At the end of the day, I think it's money well spent.
I know there's a joke in there somewhere.
Okay, next thing up is the disc golf equipment. You guys, I need to give an answer for Elena's colleague. They're working with NCCS. They wanna share in this and install part of the course on the school side, part of the course in our park. And I think it's a great suggestion. I don't see an issue with it.
I just wanna know cost. There's no cost there. So is there any cost at all
I
to the
don't,
town?
I don't think there is. If I understood it correctly.
I know there's risk. I just wanna know if there's cost.
Yes, there's risk.
Here's what they do across the state, they've got,
Like there is with any time you allow anybody in that park, yeah.
That's exactly. I'd say lean on Brian because he's kind of our parks aficionado, but I like this concept. This is really what I think we're trying to build,
Yes.
is this greater community and the connection. So if we're connecting our park to the school next door, it then is connecting the trail, it's connecting the villages. I think it's all part of the narrative we're trying to create for making this park a central feature I think so. So I don't know if you want to speak to it, Brian, or?
What's the
equipment needed to?
well, they've got one which we've used at Plattsburgh
Mike, I
State.
said it right?
Yeah, near the ball field.
Yeah, there's one in the village too.
Yeah, well, that's when they got a nice little handicap card and everything, and, they have a map, a larger map than that at the beginning of the field,
Mhm.
and tells you where everything is, and then, they have, a little cupboard that has frisbees in it, if you wanna, use those,
Right.
or bring your own.
Whereas the village issues them out, if you go to the office, they
Yeah.
issue these, the discs. You sign them out, so you're responsible for them, rather than leaving them in the park.
Well, I mean,
That's because of
most-
the nature of,
Most people have their own special frisbee. It's like using somebody else's bowling ball. True.
True. true.
But, that's why those are kind of small and inexpensive. They probably printed them right there and, they leave them out there for you. They had some small pencil nubs for you, just like a regular.
So then, other than signage, cost-wise, is there,
Yeah, you do need.
I don't know, I can find out what the
so
What
that's,
the
to me,
related,
that's what it
what the
sounds like.
related cost would
Right.
be, and get it to you guys, but I think I was looking for,
It's a good idea.
yeah, I think it's a great idea myself.
I do too. I just am curious in terms of.
So we'll move forward and then figure out all the logistics, I guess, going ahead.
Yeah, I'll have to email you guys, because she emailed me today saying that, they need to move on this week, so,
Okay.
actually, she emailed me yesterday. So I will, let me even be included in.
You don't need a motion on that?
No, we're not. I don't think so, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. But I will get more details and get to you. Detailed billing register for utility billing. I reviewed that. Do we approve it, right, Julie?
Yes.
Just to kind of bring people up to speed, I compared this to January of 2022,
Okay.
and we're down about 93,000 in terms of water usage. Sewer usage is down about 33,000. So just so you know,
Yeah, that's not good.
it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Does it fluctuate that much?
I just compared it to
It's
January. I
millions.
was curious to see,
Yeah.
you know, where you're in the dead of winter, you know, versus, you know, so.
You're talking out of 2,470,000
Correct.
gallons.
Right.
So it's just, we prefer it go
To be up.
Go up.
Yeah.
Correct. If you were to equate it in terms of like revenue loss, you're probably talking about $1,200,
Right,
so.
Good to know.
but it's a loss.
It is a loss.
It's down.
People are taking less showers?
I can't speak to that. No way.
Sharing their showers, I don't know. I'm all,
So can I have a motion to
Economical.
approve this as presented?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the utility billing for,
First
dated
quarter, I
4/11/22,
guess. Okay, first quarter.
active as 4/11/22.
Second.
Second quarter,
yes.
excuse me. Okay,
I'll second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That leads us to old business, the last thing on the agenda. And that is the standard workday and reporting resolution for elected and appointed officials. Now, we had tabled this for a better explanation in regards to the clerk, ZBA, and the town clerk / tax collector. The reason they have to both be listed like that, and they're both at, if you notice, they're both at 6 hours now, is to ensure that if, you know, under a different election cycle, these were to be split in separate jobs for some reason. And then each job becomes part-time. Currently, together, they are a full-time position. So that's essentially the answer to the question you guys have. That's why they were listed the way they were. Mine will remain at 6 hours standard workday, which can either be 6 or 8. It's your only two choices. So what I'm tracking for my reporting of my time is really separate from this, in a sense. It goes in towards, just tracking towards the retirement system.
What it technically does is you take your 3 months that he comes up with, and it comes up with a number of hours that he's used. I divide it by that 6, and it comes up with a standard work for the month. So that, from that point on, that would be his, but for the New York State retirement, it can only be 6 standard work days or 8.
Right.
So that's why you're only seeing a 6 or an 8 on there. But people can be less, we just have to use that 6 as a standard to come up with the actual that he's gonna be credited with.
Correct. So in other words, when we do this resolution, I think last time I was misinforming you that I thought we were gonna have to do a revision later, once I got my 3 months calculated and we entered it, but we don't have to. It still remains as this. Where is that? So, be it resolved that the town of Champlain, 30145, hereby establish the following standard workdays for these titles and will report the officials to New York State and local retirement based on their record of activities. And I don't think I need to read them off, do I, individually? So it would be, I think you should read this, Julie, because it's you, Secretary Clerk, that's gonna have to,
Just the bottom part.
the bottom part. I, Julie Castine.
Yeah, I, Julie Castine, clerk of the governing board of the town of Champlain of the state of New York, do hereby certify that I have prepared the foregoing and the original resolution passed by such board at a legally commenced meeting held on the 12th day of April 2022, and on file as part of the minutes of such meeting, and the same as true copy thereof in the whole of such original, and witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and the seal of the town of Champlain on this 12th day of April 2022. Julie Castine.
Okay. We'll make a motion to approve this resolution. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Okay, do we do roll call for that? I don't think so. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any comments from the folks that hung in there for me?
Good.
Nothing? Okay, thank you. I'm sorry it was such a long meeting, but
Actually, it's not bad.
That's why you serve cookies.
That's not too bad.
not too bad
I was
considering,
thinking
considering the length there. We had 14 items on the agenda. I welcome a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Yeah,